Quick question for you. Why do some people seem to look more like themselves on camera than others? I'm Patrick Nairn, and this is the kind of question that I like to ask my audience, who are mainly experts and coaches who want to impact their audiences live online because they want to connect faster with their audiences, and they want to help their audiences to take the step with them through conversion. Now, that question that I've just asked you is the kind of question that I ask my audience and help them to think about, so that they can not just take actions with the lighting that they use, or with the microphone that they choose, or with the way that they choose to present. I want them to be more informed so that they can actually take really good choices that all build upon each other in the way that we should layer our presentations, so that everything supports the ultimate goal, which is to not only help our clients, but to help them to work with us. Now, it's not about, as many people might think, which is just that confidence of being good on camera that some of us have. Some people have to work at it, but others seem to just have it naturally, right? Well, that's not really true. But in essence, the audience is actually responding to something which is a bit deeper and something that's a bit more human. You see, two of the most important aspects of what we might call our personality are the things that people will respond to. And I'm not saying these are the only two. I'm saying that these are two which I would encourage you to work on. But when we start off with these two, it's going to open up a whole world for us in terms of how we can feel to our audience when we're on camera. And these are warmth and openness. And these two qualities help us to feel more safe, which is ultimately what our audience is looking for. They want to feel secure with us before they start to listen to us. Now, really quickly, warmth is what we would call that quality or that sense that we get from a person that we say that person feels kind. They look kind. I've only just met them, but they just seem caring and emotionally safe to be around. In other words, in this day and age, they feel more human, right? And that is going to help us to firstly feel emotionally safe for our audience. And that's important, because if we don't feel emotionally safe, as I mentioned and do mention in many of my presentations, is that our audience is responding on the level of the subconscious. And if we trigger some of the subconscious concerns that they have in order to feel safe, then our audience is going to disappear from our presentation. They're going to check out much more quickly, because they're doing it at the level of the subconscious, which is almost instant. Now, warmth, when is presented by a speaker, makes them feel much more approachable, much more reassuring and genuine, but ultimately easy or easier to trust. And why does warmth matter to our audience? Well, as I've alluded to, warmth is that quality, an unseen, unspoken quality that we feel, that we can actually say, you know what, I'm at ease with that speaker. As a person listening to that speaker, I actually feel like I want to lower my resistance to that person. And again, they're doing it voluntarily and on a level of the subconscious. So it's happening really quickly without you having to do very much, other than understand how you can actually create that warmth. And so when your presence is really sort of feeling warm to your audience, it fosters more of a desire to listen, because what you're doing is creating that emotional safety before the judgment kicks in, which is where the audience says, you know what, I don't like listening to that person after all. So why should you or I, as a coach or an expert, care about warmth? Well, if we don't care about warmth, well, we're going to notice a lot of people listening to us or being in our audience, but they're not really engaging with us because they don't feel comfortable with us at first. And once they feel that sense of comfort at first, then they start to engage with us, because we feel much more relatable as an expert. Sometimes experts don't feel relatable because they are talking about something which is far beyond our level of understanding right now. But ultimately, if we can feel more human, and then we can connect with our audience, then we can create that stronger foundation, because we're starting from trust, connection, and therefore we can influence them positively. And, without warmth, doesn't matter how good you are, your expertise will feel a little bit cold, a little bit distant, and harder to receive by your audience. Now, what is openness? Well, openness is a quality where someone feels approachable. They feel a bit honest. They feel less defensive and much easier for us to read. And it means that our audience is already feeling invited to listen to us. They don't feel shut out by us because we're literally saying, this is who I am. I want you to just see me as I am, as in days of old when two knights would meet on the road, because most knights would have been right-handed, they would extend their right hand empty and open to show that I'm not a threat. I am here to meet you on equal terms. And that's essentially what we're doing with our audiences. We are lifting up our hands and showing that we have an open hand, ready to connect and to do so openly so that our audience can see. And why should openness really matter to our audience? Well, it helps them to feel included. It feels like when you're on a stage, if you've ever been on a stage, and you might be elevated way above your audience so they have to lean back a little bit to look up at you. And you have to effectively look down at them. You can't just look straight forward as you look into a live online camera. But there's a distance sometimes between you and the audience, sometimes for reasons of just visibility way out there in the back. But it could also be because that's the design of the location. But either way, there's a big distance between you and the audience. If you've ever done that before, let me know. If not, you could actually see that when you enjoy a play or any kind of production where there's a stage, you can see that there's a gap between you. And the goal is to reduce that gap, reduce that distance between you and your audience so that it makes you feel much more readable and relatable. And in fact, dare I say approachable, because I think that's the goal, right? So we're helping our audience to really feel that they can trust the person that they are seeing, which is us. We want to create a foundation of trust. So when you, any coach or expert is out there, we should be speaking online with an awareness of how openness impacts our audience and certainly how it impacts us. So if we feel distant, and our lighting can create that sometimes, then we should really realize that this is stopping our audience from trusting us, from feeling safe with us. And if it taps into their subconscious, then it will happen so quickly that we don't even get a chance to say our best lines. They've already disconnected. They've already checked out. And so for our audience, when they step up to listen to us, they're looking for that openness. As I've mentioned, whether subconsciously or consciously, they're looking for it. And if we don't give it to our audience quickly enough, we lose that sense of being available, credible, and being easy to connect with. We feel much harder to connect with. They have to work more to connect with our message. There's no smoothness, there's no clarity, and it just feels like friction. So we want to avoid all of that by coming across with the awareness that our audience is looking for that openness. It's a competitive online space, and openness can be the difference sometimes between you as an expert being watched or being ignored. And they can sometimes see that just from the way that your lighting is when they hover over your video. So how does lighting support and help you with warmth? Well, sometimes people think that warmth is just about color temperature. In other words, make it a little bit more red and make things look a little bit more human. Well, yes, color temperature can help, but sometimes without understanding what color temperature is really doing, as a coach or as an expert where lighting isn't your forte, not necessarily, there are expert coaches who deal with lighting. But for the vast majority of the coaches and experts I know, that's not their main area of expertise. And so they're just copying what they see someone else doing or just following what someone tells them without really understanding that all of these things have deeper meanings behind them. And if we want to really help our audience to see us as being more human, and so we create that softness and feel more welcoming, then we need to be aware of how high contrast lighting, darkened lighting, even colder lighting can convey a reduced level of warmth and imply even a foreboding aura, which you might be going for, but for most audiences, I can tell you that that's not what they're looking for in order to feel trust between you and them. So what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for the kind of lighting that people have seen for many years on television. When you look at certain types of presentations, particularly those where there's to do with education, knowledge, or factual information, we see balanced, very gentle, very soft lighting, which helps us to feel the warmth of the presenter and to see that warmth come across more clearly. Now, I'm not telling you what you have to like. I'm just going by what the data, the research has told us over many, many years. That when we become accustomed to seeing truth or clarity or information presented in a certain way, we become trusting of that way. And so when we want to use our lighting to support our openness, we need to realize that some people have already got there and they've already shown us how to do it. So why reinvent the wheel? We know that lighting, which is great, soft, allows our faces to feel much more accessible and easier to read. And that the face isn't in shadow, so we're not hiding anything. We're not giving that sense of, like I mentioned, the nights that are coming up. Well, you're holding up a very clear hand to show the world that I come in peace. You can feel safe around me. And so we want to do everything we can to avoid miscommunicating with our audience or creating that sense of two thoughts at once. We want to give them no reason to see us as being less open. Just show them straight away that you are being open, that you're being warm, and that by professional clear lighting, using the right kind of lighting, is going to help your audience to feel invited into your conversation. So use warmth and openness together in your lighting and say to your audience, I am safe to listen to be around, to experience my kindness. I'm good to be around. And you can see me clearly. I'm not hiding. I'm not trying to appear harder for you to work, to understand. I'm trying to make myself easy and accessible to you for an understanding of my topic so that you can see me as a human being, the way that you would if you walked up to me in the street, not hiding anything. You can see me. And as an audience member, you can feel the person's human connection. You can feel comfortable and secure, and you can relax voluntarily, feeling more ready to listen. We're all listeners at some point. We're all audience at some point. So if what I'm saying resonates with you, let me know. Which are you going to work on, your openness or your warmth? It's up to you, but I'd love to know which one you'd like me to talk and share with you a little bit more about. Remember, we're trying to help our audience to feel safe, to feel that warmth and the openness is going to help them to visibly see our trust, to feel our trust, and to develop that trust much faster. So coming back to that original question, why do some people look more like themselves on camera? Well, it's because they've understood how to light themselves for openness and warmth. And ultimately, that's what I'm helping you to be able to achieve. So after you've decided which you're going to work on, I'm going to invite you to like and subscribe this video so that you can see more of what I produce, because I'm producing a series which is going to be very helpful to you. And yes, there will be something that I'm going to invite you to at some point so that you can come and learn in a really great environment where I can share more with you and you can actually ask me questions. But for now, look out for the videos that are coming. So as I've mentioned, I would love it if you like and subscribe these videos, like the videos, subscribe to the channel, I should say. And just let me know what you're going to work on. Now, I want to just before closing say to you, I'm always grateful and thankful for the fact that for you, this is some of your time, which we know we never get back. Time is that one commodity, the precious commodity that once we spend it, invest it somewhere, it never comes back to us. And I'm grateful every time you share and watch anything that I present or create for you. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. And as always, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.